Coating the duct with Clean Coat. Coating the duct is optional inside the building. However, duct exposed to the elements outdoors should be coated to protect the resin surface of the duct exterior from harmful UV rays. Clean Coat can be applied with a paint roller, other standard paint applicators, or sprayed. A clean duct surface is the only preparation requirement for the paint to adhere to the duct. Currently, both gray and white colors are available that are factory mutual approved for application to the duct inside the building. Product handling and storage. Overview of product handling and storage. This section of the video is intended to provide your installation crew with our recommended procedures for receiving, handling, and storing the Mark 8 duct system. The inner corrosion barrier must be installed without cracks or other damage. It is imperative that special care be taken during unloading and erection of the duct sections and fittings. Receiving procedures. All parts should arrive to the site clean and protected with the ends of the duct and fittings sealed with plastic covers. It is important to check the materials delivered to the site with the bill of lading documents. Do not sign the bill of lading until all of the materials are accounted for, noting any discrepancies in the count or damaged items before you sign. If there are problems with the materials, immediately notify the engineering department at ATS. This will automatically start the process for repair or replacement recommendations and reduce the chance for delays as the job progresses. Unloading. It is important to use care not to drop or damage the duct during the unloading process. On even ground, a forklift is ideal for removing the materials. The duct must be rolled up onto the forks to prevent damage from the forks against the duct. On the uneven surfaces that are likely during the early phases of construction, a boom attachment is recommended, along with the use of 4 to 6 inch wide nylon slings. Chains or narrow slings are not acceptable. Spotters should be used to guide the duct from swinging out of control as the fork truck moves over uneven terrain. Rest the duct on 6 inch wide sleepers. 2x6 construction grade studs are ideal. The duct must be set down gently. Do not tilt the forklift blades and allow the duct to drop off to the ground or onto the sleepers. Keep the duct from rolling over rocks or other objects. As the duct rolls over or against them, the pressure point on the outside surface transfers the energy of the weight of the duct to a single point on the inner liner at the point of contact. This may cause spider cracks in the inner liner. If so, repairs would be necessary to restore the integrity of the corrosion barrier. See our catalog for repair procedures if you detect damage to the inner liner. Unloading by hand is acceptable on the smaller diameter ducts and fittings. Remember, the materials must be set down gently. Do not drop or throw the duct materials. Storage of materials. Storage of duct. Cover the duct and fittings with opaque tarps and/or store them inside to protect the materials from harmful ultraviolet rays, mud, and other debris. An ideal mobile storage facility is a shipping container. Storage of glass and resin. The glass and resin must be stored in a clean, dry area. The temperature of the resin should be maintained at 75 degrees Fahrenheit. It is important that you do not allow the resin to freeze. Frozen resin has the consistency of ice cream that has thawed and been refrozen. If this happens, the resin components are separate and the hardener will not blend into the resin. resin that has been frozen is no longer usable and must be discarded immediately. In cool, ambient conditions, transfer the required resin for the next day's usage into a tub of heated water that has a thermostat set to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. In ambient temperatures near 40 degrees Fahrenheit, the temperature of the bath can be as high as 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so the actual layups will be performed with resin at ideal temperatures. Product handling and storage. Inspect all ducts, fittings, and boxes. Put the duct down gently. Store resin at 75 degrees Fahrenheit, 24 degrees centigrade. Hangers and supports. Outside duct. Hanger support. Supports should be engineered to meet local, environmental, and regulatory requirements. Hanger spacing. Hangers and duct supports on outdoor duct installations must be no greater than 8 feet apart, center line to center line. We recommend the duct rest in cradle-type straps with an overstrap on every fourth support for wind load protection, allowing 1/8 inch clearance between the duct and overstrap for duct movement. Rooftop duct will expand and contract as it experiences changing temperatures from night and day, winter and summer. Abrasion shields are necessary to prevent chafing of the duct wall from movement of the duct over the support straps. Abrasion shields. Abrasion shields can be made from 22-gauge galvanized sheet metal semicircles approximately 8 inches wide. They should be rolled to the outside diameter of the duct. The exterior surface of the duct sits on the sheet metal abrasion shields. This allows the duct to ride back and forth across the cradle support as the duct expands and contracts. Expansion joints. Expansion joints must be installed on straight duct runs greater than 70 feet. We recommend expansion joints made of EPDM. EPDM will not only provide ultraviolet protection, but corrosion resistance to alkalis and acids as well. A rule of thumb to use in figuring expansion of Mark 8 duct is 3 inches per 100 feet per 100 degrees Fahrenheit in temperature fluctuation. EPDM flexible connectors are recommended between the duct and the scrubber and fan to minimize the vibration transfer from the equipment through the duct. Indoor duct. Hanger spacing. Indoor duct must be supported on a maximum centerline to centerline spacing of 10 feet. Abrasion shields and expansion joints. Abrasion shields and expansion joints are not necessary on indoor duct because the ambient temperature remains relatively constant and there is no chance of direct solar load on the duct. Suspending the duct hanger support rods with spring isolators is recommended to prevent vibrations within the duct from transferring through the support rods into the structural cleanroom supports. Hangers and supports. Abrasion shields on all hangers and cradles on outdoor installations. Support duct inside the building every 10 feet. Support duct outside the building every 8 feet. Expansion joints every 70 feet on straight duct runs outside the building. Outdoor duct supports should be engineered to meet local requirements. Safety considerations. MSDS. In handling any resin component, it is important to study the material safety data sheets. The MSDS provide you with the resin components, the proper methods of using the materials, and the proper procedures in the event of an emergency. It is important to know that the ChemBond resin and hardener contain amine molecules, which are mild skin sensitizers. Continued direct exposure of the resin or hardener to the skin may result in the development of contact dermatitis. Care should be taken to prevent any skin and eye contact with the liquid resin components. For your protection, it is important to practice the following recommended donning and doffing procedures when using this resin system. Donning personal protective equipment, PPE procedures. The following sequence should be used for donning personal protective equipment. First, long-sleeve Tyvek coveralls should be donned. Footwear should be rubber or heavy leather boots. Chemical-resistant overboots may be worn over personal footwear if desired, but tennis shoes and other porous materials such as canvas are not acceptable when using the raw chemicals, especially in the mixing area. Tyvek booties can be worn over work boots to protect the boots from resin spills. Barrier cream, ATS part type number 583, should be applied to areas more likely to come in contact with the resin, such as the hands, forearms, and possibly the cheeks and forehead areas of the face. The use of barrier cream is especially recommended for those who have a history of skin sensitivity. An inner layer of nitrile gloves should be donned, and the sleeves of the coverall taped over the edge of the gloves just above the wrists. Cotton gloves may be worn over the nitrile gloves to control perspiration. Cotton gloves are not a substitute for the chemical protective nitrile gloves. A pair of outer gloves that cover the forearm area should be worn over the nitrile gloves. These gloves should be flexible enough for dexterity, but they should also be non-porous and chemically resistant. Short vinyl aprons should be worn in situations where the front of the Tyvek suit is likely to come in contact with the resin. The vinyl apron will help protect the Tyvek suit from becoming saturated with resin. Safety splash-proof goggles should be worn when using the resin. However, when performing a layup underneath a duct, a face shield is recommended to prevent the face area from resin drips. Doffing procedures to remove personal protective equipment, PPE. Practicing the following procedures will prevent resin contamination of the inner clothing and skin. Residue from the outer gloves, apron, and footwear can be removed using a solvent such as acetone and a rag, provided there is adequate ventilation. Acetone used sparingly and in an adequately ventilated space is acceptable. Be sure to obtain permission from the owner's representative to use solvents before you use them. Dispose of solvent-soiled rags as solvent waste. Note: it is important not to use acetone, other solvent-based cleaners, or common solvent-based hand cleaners to remove ChemBond resin from the skin. These cleaners will remove the natural protective oils from the skin. Contact dermatitis may result from exposure to the solvent. Use the organic green soap, ATS part type 584, or other mild soaps with water to remove ChemBond resin from the skin. Remove the outer gloves by using one hand to loosen the glove on the other hand, and repeat the process with the opposite hand until both gloves are loose enough to be slipped off freely and stored properly. Remove the outer apron and store it appropriately. Remove the tape holding the coverall sleeves to the inner gloves, and remove the coveralls by rolling them in on themselves so that any resin on the suit will be rolled on the inside. Dispose of soiled coveralls in an appropriate container. Remove the inner gloves and dispose of them in an appropriate container. Remove any personal clothing such as boots or hats which are soiled with the resin and leave them at the work site. Soiled clothing should not be taken home. It should be cleaned, left to harden, or disposed of at the job site. emergency procedures for spills, and major contact of the liquid resin components to the skin and/or eyes are described on the labels of the containers, in the MSDS, and in our ATS reference guide binder. If there are any questions regarding these procedures, contact ATS technical staff at 800-585-7020 or 510-234-3173. A list of the sales representatives and the ATS offices are scrolled at the end of this video, and they are contained in our catalog ring binder for reference.